Hello everybody, welcome back. In this video, we shall look at a common problem that students run into when they do the Paintbox game. Now, Paintbox Recall is part of our beginners curriculum. The specific problem that I'm looking at is that students find it that despite adding the color, the pencil color slider, they find that they are unable to change the color of the pencil with which they are drawing. So let's see this problem here. I'm going to discuss the problem first, and then I'm going to tell you two solutions. One, a very simple one, quick and dirty solution, but second one is a bit more elaborate, which in fact leads us to puts us in a position where we can do more features of this game, right? So let's first look at the problem. Yeah, so remember the class game we had, when I click the mouse, when I click the flag with the mouse, I can draw, right? So I'm able to draw something. Now I can change the pencil color by basically changing the slider, right? So if I change the slider, no, I make it even higher, the color changes, right? And this is happening because notice the pen color is getting set to pencil color, which is a variable, and in the slider, because it has the effect of setting this variable, right? So I'm able to essentially change the color by moving this, right? However, some students find that when they do everything that it looks like this code, but when they try to move the slider, the color doesn't change. In fact, it seems like it's stuck either on black or white most of the time. That's the manifestation that I've heard most, right? So question is, what is going on there? What is the problem there, right? So that's really the problem statement. I'm moving the slider, but the color is not changing, right? So to understand this, we got to get a little bit deeper into how Scratch represents colors, right? So essentially, for example, there's this block called set pen color to this, say, blue here. It could be anything you want. Or you could also look at the touching color block, right? Wherever there's a color, you notice that Scratch represents colors with three values, which are called color, saturation, and brightness. Now, this is like one of those standard representations of color. You can learn more about this on the internet. I'm also putting a couple of links in the description. You can follow them and get a better idea. But the important point is that color means the tone, the hue, saturation means the intensity, and finally brightness means how light or how bright, how dark that color is, right? So using these three, Scratch represents every color that we deal with. However, in our code here, we are rather simplistically only setting the pencil color. Notice I'm doing pen color to the pencil color, right? So I'm only touching one of these. Hence, if there is ever a situation where the other two are somehow getting changed without our knowledge, maybe not in the visibility of this code, then that is where all the confusion starts. So that's the real root cause, that we end up changing the brightness and saturation without realizing what's going on, right? So for example, sometimes actually, before I go there, I must tell you that the block that we are using for this code is not the set pen color to a number here, to a specific color here. In fact, we are using set pen color to a number which is two blocks below this. Notice this is a drop down here, and since this is the number, I'm able to put a variable here which I can then set the pen color to, right? On the other hand, this particular block is like, you can use a dropper tool and you can basically choose whatever color you want, right? So let's say in a program, let's say knowingly or unknowingly, before you start running this, or somehow you set the color to black, right? Now black color is set by setting brightness to 0. The interesting bit is that no matter once the brightness is set to 0, no matter what I choose as the color, notice this remains black, right? So let's say you are doing this, and by mistake, or maybe knowingly unknowingly, you have clicked this thing here, right? Now, one thing about Scratch is that even though this is not part of your code, right, this particular block is not part of your code, if you go and click on it, this Scratch implements this, right? Now what that means is that Scratch has made Scratch has made brightness 0, right? Saturation also 0, but more importantly in this case, brightness 0. Now when I run my code here, notice my pencil is writing black, right? Even though I did not think it should be, and if I change the color, still it stays black, right? Because I'm only controlling the color, but Scratch by itself has set saturation and brightness, right? So this is one example. Take one more example. Let's say I set it to white. Now white happens when saturation is 0 and brightness is 100, right? Both these conditions happen. Then, and if I, let's say again, like I said, if I click this, then now Scratch has set brightness and saturation respectively to 100 and 0. And notice that when I draw this, it looks like I'm not drawing anything. In fact, I'm drawing a white line, and color change here has no impact whatsoever. So the question is now, so this is basically the problem, but the question is now, how do I solve it, right? First and foremost, I'll give you a very simple solution, quick and dirty, which will work, though it's not very elegant, right? But it will work. What you could do is that when you say, when flag clicked, you can take this block, set pen color, and set it to a color which is, let's say, somewhere in the middle of the line. Right? So maybe it sets saturation brightness to 100, and then, you just set it color, some color here, right? So now what this will do is that this will basically ensure that the saturation and brightness have been set to 100, and now your color can have a meaning. Right now it doesn't matter if you choose green here or you choose yellow here, red here, blue here, doesn't matter, but this one block will ensure that your color, saturation and brightness is set. Thereafter, in any case, it's your code that is determining, so you can change the color from here, right? So let's say if I run this, notice, because I'm setting pen color to 10, it plays orange, and it will actually go as the slider, right? So even though I'm setting this to this, let's say, bluish color, teal color here, it doesn't matter, right? So everything works fine. But this is a quick and dirty solution. The real good solution, I would say, for this is really to create two more sliders, right? Two more variables, two more sliders. That's what I'll do. So I'll not do this, though this works, but I will instead choose a different solution, which is, I think, much more elegant, much more, let's say, expansive as well, right? You can do more things with it, right? So what I will do to do that is that I will create two variables. First one I'll call, say, pencil brightness, right? And the next one I'll call pencil saturation. So pencil saturation. Right now, exactly same as other two. In fact, I'll make these two as also as sliders. I'll make this also as a slider, right? And so maybe I'll just set them to 100. And since these variables are around now, I will use set pencil brightness to 100, right? And set pencil saturation to 100. So this will take care of the fact that by mistake, if I have, let's say, if I have elsewhere set the color to black or white, and saturation and brightness have got disturbed. So I'll first fix these two, but this is not enough, because in my code I must have pen color getting set to these pen color, pen saturation, pen brightness to get set to these variables, right? So for that purpose, I will duplicate this statement twice, right? Without the pen down, I will duplicate it twice. This time I'll put this here, and I'll now say, okay, set the saturation to pencil saturation and set the brightness to pencil brightness. Now please be a little bit careful on this. In case you get these reversed, then again things may go a little bit haywire, right? So notice that now I'm going to set the brightness and saturation, everything in the beginning, and then I will use my pen, these blocks, to make sure my pen is always following the variables, right? And now with this, what will happen is saturation brightness is set up. Color will start behaving exactly what I thought it would, right? In fact, now I have complete control on this. I can change the brightness, right? I can change the brightness and the color changes. I can change the saturation, again the color, so maybe make the brightness large, change the saturation. Notice the color has become a little bit less intense, right? So I have complete control of this. But now if you do this, you may have a question that I want to put a sprite with which I can directly go to a particular color, right? So a lot of students do that. For example, they build a color palette here, which takes us to different colors, right? So how do I do that, right? So let's see it. Let's say I go and say I choose a sprite. I put a button sprite. Let's say I say this button sprite, and my code is that if I click this button, the color should become black, right? Now color should become black. How should I do that? Well, what I can do is I can say when this sprite is clicked, I can use, let's say, this pen block. I can say set pen color to black, right? But you will notice that if you did this, it will not have an impact, because remember, the pencil sprite is taking its colors from this is color, brightness, saturation from these sliders, right? So even though I use this, it will not have an impact. I can show you, even if I click this, it has no impact. I click this, there's nothing happening, right? However, I can make this work by, again, at this point, setting my variables to, so I'll say set pencil color to, say, 0, set pencil brightness to, say, 0, and I'll set, say, pencil saturation also to 0, right? So basically what I've done is that I've taken this color, I've taken its color, saturation, brightness, and I've set my three variables according to whatever this color is, right? Now this is nice, because now my code is perfectly in sync with whatever I'm trying to do, right? So when I click this, notice so I'm drawing something, if I go and click this black, saturation and brightness and saturation both become 0, and now I'm writing in black color, right? Of course, at this point of time, my pencil color change will not have an impact, because brightness is 0, right? So In fact, now I can build a pretty cool feature in my in my game, a nice enhancement. So basically, when I click this black, notice. So when I click the flag and I click this black color, it starts to write in black color. I can create an enhancement that I can tell my user that look, at this point of time, the color would not change, right? And how I can do that is that I can say, okay, let's paint a sprite, and I'll use the text feature to just say I've chosen handwriting here, so it looks nice a little bit. So color, so let's say brightness is low, color change will not work, right? So this is a nice nice little message to the user, and I can put this in a way so that it comes somewhere, let's say here, right? And uh, essentially, so now what I can do is that I can go to this sprite, right, and I can give it a little bit of a code that, when flag clicked, basically when flag clicked, go forever. So forever, I put an if else statement. If, let's say, brightness is say less than 20, right? Now, again, remember brightness is getting control from this variable pencil brightness. So I'll say if pencil brightness is less than 20, 20 is just a number. Maybe you can fine tune it a little bit, but what I mean to say is that this brightness is low, color change will not have any impact right now, right? So I'll say if that happens, I can, let's say, go to this sprite and I can say show this sprite, else I can hide this, right? And now what happens is that when I notice, when I do this, when I run my code, everything is okay. But let's say I click this black thing, I get this message, brightness is low, color change will not work. And in fact, I can go one more step here. I can go one more step and I say that if, since anyway color change will not work, I'll go and hide this variable pencil color. So like I said, this is a very nice enhancement to the game. So I will say hide variable pencil color, but on the other hand, I will, when the brightness is higher, then I'll bring my variable back, right? So I'll say show variable pencil color, right? So now all of this is working because I've put this in a forever loop. And remember, these variables are for all sprites, so every sprite is able to use them, right? So basically, let's say now I do this, everything is fine here. Let's say I click this sprite, it says brightness is low, color change won't work. But the moment, so basically it will be all black. However, the moment I make this brightness more than, let's say, 20, so I made it 50, again it's back to this saturation. I can change again, right? And I can get whatever color I want to get, right? So again, it's starting to work as I would think, right? Because I've created a synchronization between what my code is doing and what my screen is doing, what my code is doing, what Scratch is doing. There's no ambiguity left, right? Now you can do something very similar, a similar message for the white color. White happens when pencil saturation is 0, brightness is 100, right? In which case, again, color will not work, and you can have another sprite which gives you a message, right? Now let's just conclude this with one more enhancement, one more feature which students like to do. Let's say I put a sprite which will give me a particular color, right? So for instance, I put, let's say, this button here, and my intention is that if I go and click this button, then the color should turn exactly to this color, right? So I'll follow the same method that I did for the black one. Basically, I'll say when flag is clicked, right? So I don't say, I say when this sprite is clicked, right? I will say set color to. So I'll say set pen color to. I will use the dropper tool here, and I'll go and choose, say, this color, right, which is a green color. Now this alone, remember, is not sufficient. What I will also do is that I will set my variables. So set, for example, pencil color, and I'll duplicate this twice, pencil color, pencil brightness, and pencil saturation to the same values as this is 29, 95, and 100 respectively. So 29 for color, 95 for brightness, and 100 for saturation. So once again, because my code has to be in sync with whatever Scratch is doing, otherwise the problem starts, right? So with this, what will happen is, if I, let's say, click on this thing, it will draw exactly that color. And remember, that's because my variables are perfectly in sync, right? Now I can change the color. So obviously color will change. If I go to black, color brightness is low, color change won't work as the screen displays, but I can increase the brightness to get out of that, right? So it's kind of nice interactive game now. I think, I hope this gives you an idea. This is a lot more enhanced from the earlier quick and dirty solution, but this is a lot more elegant as well, right? So I hope this gives you an idea. Please leave your comments in the in this video. In case if this video helps you or doesn't help you, if there's some other issue, please put it there so that we can also address that. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye bye.